Hello everyone, welcome. This is Amy the Mystic Rose Tarot. It is Wednesday, December 2nd, 3:30, a little bit after 3:30 on this day. And I'm here to share with you the second decan for the month of Sagittarius, where we are going to discuss the next planetary sign to influence Sagittarius, decan-wise. I'm working with the Unified Esoteric Tarot, which I've been doing in the past for all my decan readings. And we will go into detail how to incorporate that planetary influence for this second decan, which is December 2nd until December 11th. And so we're right in the midst of Sagittarius. Whenever we're in the second decan of any astrological month, that is I feel, that is where the core strength of Sagittarius lies in, because it doesn't pull any influence from its previous sign, like in the first decan where we're going from Scorpio into Sagittarius, or when we get into the third decan where it could start feeling influences from Capricorn into its sign. So Sagittarius in the second decan, or any astrological sign, the second decan, I feel holds the truest power of that sign. And that tends to be the first week of each month. So I'm going to kind of go back a little bit, but let me first go through this reading and do a temporary reflection on our first decan to see if any transitions took place. Okay, so as we know with Sagittarius, Sagittarius is a mutable sign. They can adapt to pretty much any situation, any environment, as long as their needs are being met. And what I mean by needs is that as long as they have that freedom to either speak how they feel about something, and have some movement, maybe change their perspective on the situation. So they can work in the most difficult environments and circumstances, but they need to still have that expansive, independent freedom of thinking and seeing and doing things that really benefits Sagittarius. So it's also ruled by Jupiter. But for here, I'm going to show you, here's the Unified Esoteric Tarot. Okay, so this is Mars in Sagittarius. And its influence with Mars in the sign of Sagittarius is spontaneity. And to give a good example of that, this is actually doable for Sagittarius. They can work, again, with situations that change. And that's also a form of enthusiasm for them, because it's something that's happened all of a sudden. And that sudden spontaneous change ignites that fiery side of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. And so with Mars and Sagittarius, Mars just kind of lights that flame underneath their feet to really take things into action, any quick changes or anything of that nature. They like to be in different circumstances because they do get bored if things don't really show progression or growth or change of some nature. If things are stagnant, they're out. They're going to find something else. They have an optimistic perspective on life. So they tend to be one of the more positive personalities in the astrological wheel. And they love to just have things coming to them, sharing that experience. They're always looking for truth, knowledge, and in turn, that experience allows them to grow and to learn a little bit about themselves. The only thing we have to be careful is if Sagittarius takes in too much, if they overindulge in certain circumstances or the environment that they're in, it could end up, excuse me, it could end up being a hit to their ego, and they are losing the perspective that they originally had when going into that, while taking that perspective. So if you have things coming at you left and right, and you're trying to experience it all at once, you kind of have to give yourself that moment to stop and just fully experience each situation that's coming to you. Not that here's something that's being given to you, here's something that's being given to you. Take the time to explore each experience. So there can be an overabundance of energy. So it's just a matter of balancing, not to get overwhelmed, and just take in as much as you can and explore that, experience that situation, and see what comes from it. Sagittarius is a sign of experience. They want to learn. They want to understand, and it takes time. So try not to get too overwhelmed, and also with spontaneity. With the influence of Mars and Sagittarius, it's a time to be uninhibited. Be open to anything that comes up to you. Don't question it. Just accept what it is, and work through whatever challenges that may come from it, or any successes that you gain from this. So there's a reason why things happen. So if things change, if things shift, it's just that awareness to really pay attention. It's a sign. And the wonderful thing with Mars in Sagittarius, Mars will influence and show Sagittarius willpower. How to really follow what you're directed to, what you're feeling moved to, and staying with it. Okay, that free spirit, independent spirit is wonderful, but you also need to have some direction, and you need to have focus. So in doing so, understanding that willpower, working with that willpower to benefit you, you will move in that direction. You will achieve the goal that you're wanting to attain. But again, we have to see things. We can see things in a wide perspective as a Sagittarian. We see everything around. But if you're going in that space and you're just going nonstop, you could be missing things that are very important to you. So spontaneity is great because it awakens that curiosity of Sagittarius to just see what that person is about, or whatever the situation is, to learn more about it. But really put yourself into it. Stay focused. Use that willpower with the Mars in Sagittarius. Use the willpower. Understand. Gain knowledge and truth that way. Mars and Sagittarius. The card of influence, the tarot card of influence for the second decan is the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is, we're getting close to an ending. We've seen the progression from aces to 8 of the building of creative energy, seeing how everything's being formed, making any changes that's needed. But the thing that's different here with the Nine of Wands, I have 3 cards just to compare different perspectives. I have the Lumina Tarot and Tarot of the Holy Light and Forest of Enchantment. These are all Nine of Wands, but they have the similar theory but different perspective on how to work with this decan. Mars and Sagittarius. So just to give a little bit of background about the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands has accumulated so much energy. And at this point, when you're in the journey and you've reached the Nine of Wands, you're feeling a little bit of a challenge. You're feeling a little bit of a weakness, like tiredness. You've put probably more than necessary energy into this, and you're starting to feel questionable about your actions. You're starting to second guess yourself, which you shouldn't do. Through the Nine of Wands, what you need to find at this point is, and I'll just show you a card here. You need to find that belief in yourself that you can continue forward. This isn't a time to give up because you're almost there. You know, that prize is waiting for you right around the corner. So this is from the Lumina Tarot. And so you've worked through all the successes that you've created. There's been some setbacks, but you've looked beyond it. Again, remember the willpower. You have that willpower, you deal with it, and you go on. Don't get emotionally attached to anything that could possibly hold you back in this suit of wands to finish what you have set to accomplish. Find the courage within, and just know that by partaking in this, making that choice to continue onward, it will lead to a positive outcome. Again, don't let any previous obstacles from the past weaken you or challenge you in any way. It's about courage and being committed to your goals. And if you're feeling exhausted, and this goes across for the other two cards that I'm going to show you, you can stop and take a break. I mean, there's various depictions of the Nine of Wands. One we would see workers, and they're just really tired. They could be sitting on a chair or stone, and the wands are right behind them, or they're in front of them, or they're beside them. The placement of the wands, if there's an individual in that picture, shows the relationship, the connection that those wands are having with this person. Here with the Lumina Tarot, we see a road, and here, or a path, I should say, and it's lit on the side. It's almost like a concert stage, if you will, and you're almost there. Here's the completion. Okay, it's telling you to keep going, but as I mentioned, do find that time to rest and maybe look back on what's been done so far, what's been completed, what wasn't done properly, and make changes, and then continue forward. This is not a time to bail. The Nine of Wands, you need to keep going, you need to keep moving. And you will find it within yourself to make that happen. Keep that optimism that we see with Sagittarius and the Mars and Sagittarius for the second decan. Use these two characteristics to motivate you, to keep you going. Okay, so for the next one, I have the Tarot of the Holy Light. Angle this here. So we see the Nine of Wands more in the foreground, but off to the side. Okay, so the presence of the energy is there, but it's not active. We're seeing these wands right now in a stationary position. And this is what I was saying earlier. This is a sign to take a moment and just assess what's going on, whether it's good or bad. Assess what's been done, what's been happening. Okay, and put those wands down, let them stay there temporarily. The interesting interpretation with the Tarot of the Holy Light is it's asking to be flexible in unforeseen circumstances. So here we have this volcano, and we're seeing disruption and possibly a very dangerous, volatile situation. And if you look here closely, this is loosely based on Aesop's fable of the goat and the wolf. Okay, so we have its predator and prey. They're actually right in a cave. They're trying to protect themselves from what could be looming. So we have two opposing creatures and energies. One that will go and attack immediately, but in this case, they've become allies. They're aware of the situation, of what's happening, what could potentially be dangerous, and they went for cover, and they're working under those circumstances of what's could be happening. They want to save themselves. They want to be protected and work through things. So this is a very interesting storyline, I guess, to bring into the Tarot of the Holy Light, how we have two different entities, opposing entities that are setting aside their differences and learning to work under, certain circumstances. This is also a card, the way I read this too, of a spiritual awakening after a turbulent time. When I was looking at this particular Nine of Wands, I just kept thinking about the pandemic, how we're learning to adapt, modify our lifestyle, and hopefully trying to work together to make the situation better. It's been a challenge, as you know, but for many, this is a time where people have actually seen different perspectives of other people and also themselves, and they learn a little bit about themselves. It's a time to heal. Don't try to be put in a situation where you have to almost be a hero if there's a situation that could be very dangerous. Don't try to go out beyond your own means just to do it, just to be seen as a hero. When there's challenges going on, do it because you want to. Do it because you feel the need to help, to put assistance. And also, it's been draining for everyone globally. So don't expend yourself more so than necessary. If you go out and push yourself more so than necessary, you could emotionally, mentally, physically cause danger or harm to yourself. You may expose yourself to the virus. You may cause injury to yourself. So with the Tarot of the Holy Light, the Nine of Wands, they have a different placement here. We have Sagittarius, Jupiter and Sagittarius, which was the first decan. And just to point out, the Tarot of the Holy Light, their astrological correspondences that Christine Payne-Towler, who's the creator of this deck, has put together is from a different system. I just want to compare and contrast more the Nine of Wands than the astrological correspondences. We can see the Jupiter energy here and Sagittarius. There's shifts going ahead, and Jupiter is the planet of just being optimistic, knowing how to work under your circumstances, your environment. But here with Mars and Sagittarius for the Nine of Wands, we see again spontaneity, how to react when something happens all of a sudden. How do you manage that? And the key here is with willpower. Willpower and focus, those are the two key things that you need when it comes to handling a situation that just comes up very unexpectedly. Not a time to be reactionary or going way into your head about the situation. This is the time, again, the Nine of Wands, if things are too much, you stop. You stop that energy temporarily. You stop the nervousness, the anxiousness. You stop it. You have control over that. You stop. You breathe. And look at what's going on with focus and good intention. Directed willpower. Okay, and the last card that I have here to compare is for spells. For the Force of Enchantment is used in place of wands. So spells is a form of energy. It could be through incantations. It could be through movement of any sort, any form of action. Anything vocal, that's a form of action. Any kind of dance, any kind of creating with hands, feet, dance, whatever, singing, those are forms of movement. And that's how spells come. So here we have the focus here is on what is most desired and feared. And with the Nine of Spells, we ask ourselves, how do we work with things that are feared? With the Force of Enchantment, we go through different characters. There's a storyline that builds up in the Force of Enchantment. In the Force of Enchantment, the force itself reveals our inner self. So it's basically what's happening within ourselves. And so there are depictions of the witch. We see the high priestess, we see elves, we see dragons, we see various fairy tale-like creatures, but they're representing different aspects of who we are. So here we have the witch, and the witch means, the term itself, witch means the wise one. So I think when it comes to me for explaining cards where the witch is being represented, I'm going to probably drop that word and just say the wise one, because that's what a witch is. A person who knows how to work with their tools, knows how to work with them in all the different elements, all the different directions, and uses it for self-empowering and also for healing. So same thing here. The wise one is using her inner magic, her empowerment. And by creating it from within, she expels it out. And so we see the energy around. But if you look closely, we have eyes peering. Now this is the fear. This is the fear. This is the unknown. This is our subconscious. These are things that are going on within ourselves that we don't really address, that we really don't pay much attention to, but we know it's there. What I mean by not paying attention to is actually working with it, coming to terms with it. This card is about finding, again, that courage and staying committed to what your focus is on. And this is more of a spiritual card. And what I mean by spiritual is more about your practice. You know, whatever forms of divination, if you do meditation, yoga, you read the Bible, anything like that, that is your own magic. That is your own self healing from the inside out. And so, again, based on previous experiences that you've had, when you get the Nine of Wands, another aspect is that you're finding that self-empowerment. If you are feeling challenged in any way, you've already been through that. You've already had that experience. And so you've moved from those previous experiences of weakness or challenges, and you are strong. So when you come across any peering eyes or any potential threat at whatever level, You have that strength, you have that willpower, you have that control to move it away, to have it be gone. And again, the journey to get to this point with the Nine of Spells or Nine of Wands, it can be exhaustive, as I mentioned earlier. You've gone through challenges, you've gone successes, losses, and you've gained again. It gets very tiring, especially if it's repetitive throughout your journey. You want to have a steady sense of direction. But if it's going like that, as I mentioned with the Nine of Wands for Lumina, the Lumina Tarot, and the Tarot of the Holy Light, you take that moment and you stop. It's not indicated here, but you have that time to just stop and just look, reassess, see everything that has been created, what has been done, so on and so forth, or just a time to recharge. And this is temporary. This isn't a long-term break. Wands is movement. So if there is a moment of stillness, like we see here with these wands, and they're in the foreground, it's almost, with this card, the Tarot of the Holy Light, the wands are in the foreground. It's actually almost putting up a shield when you see this. The wands, the movement is right there, and it's saying, we're going to stop, we're going to see what's going on, and we're going to work through this. With here, we don't see that, but the energy is there to allow yourself to take a break and just get recharged. And that enthusiasm that you had, that drive for working towards your goals, will come up again, and you will see a different perspective, which will lead you to success, because you feel that now, since you've rested, you can keep going and finish it all the way. And you keep your eye on the prize, and you will get it. So it's just having that self-belief, willpower, courage. Those are a few of the fundamental things to keep you moving. Okay? And again, you be kind to yourself, and you don't push yourself so far forward. Just take that time to just take a break and look at everything. Okay? So there's various degrees of spontaneity that we can see in these cards. Okay, but with spontaneity comes that time to really look at what's going on. Okay, so maintain that focus and the willpower and the courage, and all that will come to you. You'll still have that adventure waiting for you. You'll still have that freedom. That's going to be under different circumstances, because you're seeing it from a real perspective. You're seeing everything that's around you and all the influences that come from it. There we go. So it is a card of reaction, being reactive, but not overreactive. You're being called. You see the situation, you're moving to it, but you're being, I don't want to say cautious, but you're aware of what's going on. You're aware of your situations, and that's very important. So our first decan was motion. So at this point, we have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands is just movement coming to you, but it holds a similar perspective. All these things are coming at you. You have to be quick. You have to be on top of it. You don't want to miss a situation. So when you're seeing all these things, you have to really use your best judgment. Okay? And of course, be open-minded. Okay, so difference between motion and spontaneity or spontaneous. as I mentioned, motion is the movement. We're getting things moving. We're getting things going, whether it's a project, travel, anything along those lines. Spontaneity, for me, reveals more of unexpected things that come up towards you and how to use that energy. Okay, focus, courage, and willpower. It's not a time to, again, it's not a time to stop and not do anything. Okay, you can take a break. Okay, again, the wands is movement. You are allotted that time to break and take a break and to look at everything. But you have to keep going. Okay, it's not time to walk away from anything that you've done. If you did, it's going to be very difficult to go back to it, and there's probably going to be more challenges from that because you've left some ties loose, and you didn't take care of anything. You just kind of walked away and just hope that things would take care of itself. That's not what you do with the 9 of Wands. Okay, you don't bail, you don't walk away, you keep that energy going. Again, spontaneous is a challenge. It's coming at you. But with Sagittarius welcomes that. It's an adventure, it's a new experience, and they learn from it. And that's one of the characteristics of Sagittarius. They're truth seekers. They want to learn from their experiences, and in turn, they learn something about themselves. So it's like a form of self-discovery, Sagittarius, with their energy and the way they do things and their actions and how they interact with people. So that is our second decan for December 2nd to the 11th. So the next one I will be from the 12th to, I think it's the 21st, 20th or 21st, which will take us towards the end of Sagittarius. So we're going to be seeing that Sagittarian energy, not weakening, but we're going to start seeing the energy get ready to move towards Capricorn. And Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, which is discipline, limitations, restrictions, traditional values. So it's quite the opposite of Sagittarius. And also Capricorn's an earth sign. So we're going to see what card we're going to get for the third decan, the last decan for the sign of Sagittarius. And as we get ready to Capricorn, or get ready to go into Capricorn. And it's also going to be Yule, the winter solstice. So a lot of shifts will be happening during that week. And we will discuss that. And also wrapping it up with the suit of Wands, 10. So we're going to have the 10 of Wands, which will wrap up that fiery energy. And then we're going to move into Pentacles, coins, the earth sign of Capricorn, and we'll see what planet's going to be influencing during that first decan through the Unified Esoteric Tarot. So until then, have a wonderful day, week. Another thing I want to point out before I close is these are fixed astrological correspondences. So right now, Mars is non-Sagittarius. Mars is in Aries. So it's in a different sign. But what you can do is, if you want to take in the energy of Mars and Sagittarius as a fixed astrological influence, correspondence for this card, look at where Mars is and see how that influence can actually, this current astrological placement, how that influence can help you to spark this. Mars in Aries, that's more fire. But they're also about setting foundation and putting structure. So that Mars and Aries influence for this fixed astrological correspondence of Mars and Sagittarius could actually be a good complement. And keep in mind how you want to direct that energy. Okay? And that plays a part as well. Okay, so have a wonderful week, everyone. I will see you December 12th with the third decan for the month of Sagittarius, and we will explore the 10 of Wands, and I will see what planet Sagittarius will be in for our next card. Thank you again. To reach me, all the information is on the description. I'm available for readings. Looking forward to guiding you and helping you while you're on this journey of transformation and as we go into a brand new year. So feel free to contact me with any questions. Thank you again and have a wonderful week, everyone.